the thing about ops is the principles are all very simple. It's like
Right.
mechanical engineering, right? The theoretical stuff itself is very small, but every case, the way you need to apply, there you have a lot of unity that is required. That's where people get it wrong.
So got it.
It's not like it will break, it will work, but it will be suboptimal. That's another
Understood.
problem why generally people don't take operations seriously. काम
Hmm.
चलता है, but is
Huh.
it working the way it needs to work? It does not. It is not.
Right.
And you realize it is not working the way it needs to work only when things scale and then things start dropping.
Makes
And
sense.
by then
Makes
it's too
sense. Got
late,
it.
right? So
Sure.
that's the problem. Okay. Now today,
Hmm.
what I've thought is, last week we spoke about level loading with one concept, right? Where
Yeah.
I had the time to, kind of. So we will look at two other uh, cases of level loading, two other kind of level loading concepts for us to consider. Okay, so basically two scenarios. The scenario which we saw in the last week is about is when where we had the control. We could control the flow into the work into the warehouse. Orders are there, but we had the time. So every hour we release only what is required, and hence the loading was leveled every week.
Yeah.
So we had the
Yeah.
control on how on the flow itself. But
Right.
there are cases where you may not have control,
Yeah.
right? Then, and those cases, how do we, especially services, right?
Huh.
A lot of services, it has to be done when they need it. I mean, there is very little flexibility there, but then there are flexibilities there which can be used. Okay, so today we are going to look at two such cases for us to understand, the level loading concept a little more in depth, and then see how else we can use it other than just the warehouse. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. So the first case study,
Got it. So sure.
the first case study, we'll so first let I'll do a summary of the level loading steps. Okay, how do we? Last time I gave you an example, but I didn't tell you exactly how to look at level loading, how to deploy it, how to think through this. We will cover that first, and then I'll take you through two case studies.
Sure. Sure.
The first is about the level loading itself. So where do you start? How do you know whether the load is level up? Okay, so first is you need to start knowing the throughput per hour per resource. Okay, it can be per hour or per
Got
period.
it.
Okay, so that how do you know? You know the bottleneck process or bottleneck step. How much time does it take? If it takes 5 minutes, in an hour you can do 12 minutes. So that's your capacity per resource per
Hmm.
unit. The thing to know is it may not always be per hour. It could be like few hours. Like so, there can be processes where it is 4 hours. What is the throughput per 4 hours or per day per week, like that, depending on the the time period of the process itself. Okay, so it need not always be per this thing. One way to, so smaller time frame is always better. Okay.
Got it.
Suppose if you
Hmm.
set the cycle as like week, there will be times in between where nothing will happen. See, the more time, it's like this, right? There is this rule which says work expands to fill time. You give a team one day to do something, he's going to do it only in the last 2 hours. It's not like he's going to use a full day to make it work. Okay.
Yeah.
So the key is to keep the time frame as small as possible. Sometimes it is feasible, sometimes it is not feasible. So the way to achieve a smaller time frame is to break the task into smaller pieces and take the biggest one and then say that is the time.
Got it.
If you don't do this, what happens is underutilization of resources happen. What I mean by that is if you take the time of a person or a resource, there are active times and there are passive tasks.
Yeah.
Like he's waiting for data to come, he's following up with clients. Those are all passive tasks.
Huh.
Active task is when he's actually transforming something. So an active to passive ratio for any resource in a service industry can be as high as 80%, and it should be high.
Right.
Okay, in a manufacturing, it can be even more. But in a service sector, we need to get it to as high as 80. But typically, if you take any unoptimized service,
Uh-huh.
you will find it at a 30 to 40%.
Got it.
You can
Got
take
it.
your own case also, your own clinic also, and then see how much time your receptionist is engaged. It will be less
Yeah.
than 30%, 30 to 40%. Or if you take
Uh,
the doctor, right? So therein lies capacity that you can utilize. That's one way of doing level loading. We'll see a use case where it's done, right? Resource is generally human in service, but it can also be a critical machine or a system. For example, in a restaurant, right? Table or seating capacity is a critical resource.
hmm, hmm.
So an average meal takes 2 hours. So and meal time is the lunch time is duration is about 4 hours. So then you can utilize only two sets of people in one day.
Yeah.
And if you optimize the service and reduce the wait time and stuff, you can do two. If your service levels and
Yeah.
wait times are higher, instead of two, you will be able to do only one.
Right. Awesome. Yes, sir.
Right? So that's how to think about it. I'm saying what is the critical resource? In
Sure.
most back office processes, it is personal, but there
Hmm.
are
Got it.
services. So, for example, in clinic, right? Say if it's a diagnostic system, a diagnostic machine would be the costliest resource, or the clinician who writes the report becomes the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Okay, he signs, right? He signs the report at the end of the day.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 Yes, sir.
Everything else will be underutilized, and that person has to be 100% utilized because that is the costliest resource and that's the bottleneck.
Great. Awesome. RDS. That is the ready determining step. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one way of doing it. Next step, that's the first step, knowing what is the throughput per hour. So for that resource, what is the throughput per hour is the throughput for your whole system. Okay. Next step is to ensure that there is
Sure.
just the right amount of demand released to the system to utilize the entire capacity. So what this means is if that resource can do 10 in an hour, you release only 10 and make sure all 10 gets done. You don't release more than 10.
Okay.
The reason for this is if you release more than 10, he will give you 10, some 5 will be stuck, but that 5, why is it stuck? You will never know. But when you give 10 and 10 does not come, 2 gets stuck, you will know why the 2 got stuck because you gave
Hmm.
only 10.
Got it. Got it.
Okay, this is a control measure. If this thing fails, no, your level loading will not happen. So the first step tells you how
But
much.
so how practically? Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
So practically, how do we ensure plus measure, like,
How do you
because
ensure
in a
that only
setting?
so many is given?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have holding area, right?
Mm-hmm.
We form. So typically operations people say inventory is bad,
Yeah.
but not always. Inventory
Huh.
without a purpose is bad.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay, so here when you have a holding area, you actually know what's your demand and all that stuff. It gives you a lot more information instead of pushing everything into the process and then it is sitting inside the process.
Understood. Understood. Got it.
That's the way to think about it,
Got it. Sure. Sure. Sure.
right? So certain this is where ops gets tricky, right? So inventory is bad, but under what context? That nobody tells you. So how can you do this? One is
Hmm.
scheduling, right? In a case of a clinic, you can actually do scheduling and then allow patients to come only, say 15 can be handled by your person, so that you only schedule 15 in an hour.
Huh.
Okay, and those 15 is not getting done, then you can actually dig down and find out what he's doing wrong and then keep fixing it. So that every
Right.
hour predictably 15 gets done.
Huh. Huh. Huh.
Scheduling is one capacity. This is, I think, what you are asking. The other one is
Yes, sir.
uh, load shifting using deals and discounts.
Huh.
Right? Saying, so for example, barber shops, they can give a 20%
Huh.
discount on a Tuesday.
Huh. Right.
And
Yeah.
generally
Sure.
people
Like
don't
in
go.
restaurants also it happens. Got
Yeah?
it. In thali
In
systems.
Tali, yes.
Yeah. 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 Sure.
Right? So you give
Yeah.
deals and discounts, but now the question would be, is this deal? So the question from the business side would be, why will I lose this 20%? Correct. Now the answer to
Yeah.
that question is, say you can do only, say, let's say you are able to do service 5 clients per hour, and then you have an 8-hour window, but the clients walk in only for 4 hour in a 4 hour window. Typically, services have this thing, right? 4 hour window. So which means 5 into
Yeah.
4, 20 only you can do. But if you give this, so anything more than 20 walking into you because they know you and they want to get service by you are losing them because you don't have capacity. It means you are losing the client.
Got it.
Even at a
Yeah, it makes sense.
20%
So
discount,
if
it
I will give
makes
the 20%,
money. It makes sense to service them on a Tuesday
yeah,
where you have idle capacity.
yeah,
It's 80% revenue
got it.
versus zero revenue,
Yeah,
right? So that's how
got
you
it.
justify this. Load control is another thing, which is what we discussed during the warehouse case, where you put it on a hold and then send only what can be handled in each hour.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Last step. So that is the step where you adjust the demand, release to the system to utilize entire capacity. Last step is this is the next step. The last step is to ensure those many always get done. If I given you 8, 8 has to come out. If I given you 10, 10 has to come out. If it's not coming, every hour you have to fix it. Why this
Got
is
it.
critical? Unless you do this, your ability to track all the problems in the system will be, problems won't surface. Problems will start getting hidden.
Understood.
Right? So either it should fail or it should succeed. One of the two should happen within the time frame. Right? And all failures
Got it.
have to be analyzed on an hourly basis. So it is
Hmm.
very intensive, very exhausting for the first few weeks. But within a few
Understood.
weeks, what happens is whatever you're learning, you will document and then you will put an alternate solution and train the people and keep it there. The process becomes more and more resilient. So the number of
Got it.
use cases where things get stuck will reduce over hardly a couple of weeks, it will come down. Right? Maximum a month. After a month, the process will be so smooth. I mean, it will just keep churning stuff. And suddenly you will find that you have far more capacity than what you thought you had. Okay. So I'm going to, so this is the method. Okay. This is the 3-step method for
Sure.
level loading any system. Now I'm going to share two cases with you where the same thing is used for two different problems. Okay. This
Yes,
is
sir.
during my very first job when I was running locomotive workshops for Indian Railways. So
Okay.
first, the problem statement there is, so railways is like highly unionized workforce, right? Government set up and there are unions. And there are clear agreements with the unions on saying number of staff per locomotive, how much should be, and how much work the people that is given can do in a day. Okay. So that is agreed and signed, and that's etched in stone with the union. You cannot load the staff more than so much. And if you do it, you will have a
Okay.
problem. Okay, that's
Got it.
the base. And the
Ground. Sure.
work used to do is in the workshop, we have to do inspection of locomotive, periodic inspection of locomotives to do preventive maintenance. So there are three types of inspections we do: IA, IB, IC. So between two inspections, there is 45 days. Okay. And so first, for any locomotive, first you will do an IA, 45 days it works, and then comes back, you do an IB inspection. It goes back, works for 45 days in the field, comes back for IC. IA and
Okay.
IB are simpler ones. So it takes like it just translates to 1 unit of work for IA for IB. IC is a more involved inspection, it has a lot more work, so it carries 2 units of work. So
Got
IA
it.
is 1 unit, IB is 1 unit, IC is 2 units. So this is how the work units are there. And the agreement with union allows for 5 units of workload per day. That's all. If you do more, there can be union problems. If you do less, of course, you are losing utilization capacity. So now the problem was when I was running this workshop, they wanted me to take 20% higher number of locomotives to maintain, but they were not willing to give me headcount. That was the problem.
Oh, got it.
Okay. So it was given to me as a challenge, saying, "Hey, smart guy, see if you can do this." That's how it was given, right? So I did a quick analysis. So this is the first step. I'm saying what is the capacity? You go back to the slide that
Yeah.
I showed earlier, right? Capacity. Start with knowing the throughput. So it's not hour, but it is daily. Correct? It's a per day here. So the period here is per day.
Yeah.
So first is to estimate demand. So there are 100 locomotives, for 100 locomotives, the demand is 300 inspection over 135 days because 45 days, right?
Right.
300 is so if I translate the 300 inspection into work units, it will be 100 IA, 100 IB, and 100 IC.
4. Correct.
So it's about 400 units of work over 4
So,
months.
so
Right?
but 100 IC is 2 units, no?
IC is 2, no? 2 units of work.
2 units. If it is like
So
I
IA is 1 unit of work,
into that.
IB is 1 unit of work, IC is 2 units of work.
Got it. So 400 units, it will be. That's what. Here I saw 100. Okay. So 100 plus 100 plus 200. It will be like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
100 plus 100 plus 200, 400 units of work over 4 months, 135 days, basically.
4 months. Yes,
Right?
sir. Got it.
4.5 months, but roughly take it as 4 months.
Sure.
Correct. So now, what is the current capacity? Now you need to compare it with the current capacity. When I calculate the current capacity, it is 5 units you can do, and they work 6 days. So 24 days in a month, roughly. That should be 120 units of work per month.
Got it.
Okay. So now, if you calculate utilization, 400 units, if we were doing only for 100 locomotives,
Yeah.
400 divided by 120 into 4 is 83%.
Oh. Got it.
I have a 20% underutilized capacity.
Oh, understood.
See, this is hidden, right? You didn't know this.
Yeah, this is amazing.
One quick back of the envelope. So that framework of saying how much can I do and what is the load will help you plan how should I solve for the loading.
Got it. Great,
Okay.
sir. Awesome.
This is
That-
optional.
Sure.
You do this quick calculation, you know, there is a 20% cap.
Hmm.
There's a 20. So now then you go into finding out why this 20% is not getting utilized currently. And how can you fix it? So which is what I do. Solution. So first I wanted to find the reason for low utilization. So I took the last 2 months of record and saying daily how many points were scheduled and how many was done. Okay. The scheduling itself was lower than 5 points. Very few days we had full 5 points.
Okay.
The reason for that is after the maintenance, the locomotive is given to the operations department, which connects it to the trains, and then the trains loco can be anywhere in the country. So within the 45 days, you need to move the somebody has to track and bring that loco back into the workshop for doing the schedule.
Got it.
And that was a missing process. Nobody was doing it.
Okay.
So it was just coincidence. The loco was here, so they take it and do it. And it was also due, they take it and do it. So I was having, so on one side, 20% overstaffing is there, or capacity, underutilized capacity is available with me. And I was also having 10% locomotives which were running overdue inspection, which means 45 days ho gaya, inspection nahi hua.
Got it. Okay, sir.
The reason is nobody was tracking it and bringing it here. Okay, and that involves a lot of coordination work, and there was no system or process for doing it. Okay, so then solution becomes simple. All I did was deployed a team for tracking and connecting. That's it. I put a team of senior guys who knows others in the operations department. Uska ek hi target hai. He had only one single target. Every day I need to have 5 points, and 5 points should go out every day.
Understood.
And if there is on any day, if it is less than 5, he needs to give me an explanation why it was less and what is he doing so that it doesn't happen again. Simple problem solved. Right?
Got it.
It took about a month or so to get this whole thing going and every day 5 points coming in. But in a month's time, this whole 20% extra overload workload anyway got absorbed. Whole problem of saying, hey, I how do I do this 20% extra got sorted. Now the catch here is this is a technical solution. Now you also have the implementation problem, right? The union will anyway say, hey, you are making my people work more and all. So that also has to be addressed. The people aspect. Correct. So the people aspect,
correct.
The way to address the people aspect is I just showed them the calculation saying, hey, this 20% extra people is there. Okay. So now we have two choices. Either I transfer them to some other place, and you will choose who are those 20% people, headcount. Okay. And we will transfer them. We will displace them from this place, and nobody wants transfer in that place. Right? Everybody is settled there. That nobody wants it. They hate transfers, and it's a big problem for union. So this much extra people is there, so we have to transfer, or I will schedule 5 points, which is the agreement. Your people should not any day if it's more than one point, even 1 point extra, you can do a tool down. You can do a strike. I don't mind. Okay, no work for that. But any day I do a 5 point only, you will always stick to it and deliver. So two options.
Got it.
Either you deliver the 5 point as per the plan, as per the agreement, or so because they will also their people will go back and tell them, they're not dumb. They will always know. Will go and tell the union saying, hey, we used to have lean days. These days there is no lean day. Every day there is 5 points. We are overworked. It will come. They won't take this, but they will take some other route. They will create some other problem and then bring it there.
Got it.
So with the unions, the catch is it's not like those guys are bad. It is just that they have a role to play. Okay, the union leaders have to be seen as somebody who is supporting the workforce and being reasonable with them. So if you give them enough points for them to talk to the workforce, they will do your bit. If you don't, it's like you giving points to your stakeholders so that they can sell it internally to their customers, to their bosses. It's the same funda here also. Okay. If you don't support them with these points and explain it to them and tell them how to tell it to the people, they will only oppose you. But if you give it to them, they also want work to be done. They just want their position in the power. Correct. So once I explain to them saying, hey, here are the number of excess manpower that we have. This is the calculation. This is the number of excess manpower we have. It's about 80 people. Either you can tell through the union which 80 needs to be transferred, or you tell them that they have to do 5 every day. Now there is no complaint. If anybody comes and talks to them about this, he'll say, hey, that guy is holding 80 people extra and he's supporting you. Right? If you guys start making noise, 80 of you will have to go get transferred to a mines or wherever he sends you.
Got it.
First problem solved.
So, but they agreed. Like it was agreed that 5 units they'll do or they'll transfer. What was the problem? Like what was?
No. 5 units was agreed, already signed up.
Achha, okay, signed up also. Got it.
Original agreement was they will do 5 units of work every day for the given manpower. Got it. But it was not getting utilized.
Sure. Got it, sir.
See, it was a loading problem. The loading was not level and loading was not uniform.
Yeah.
So people got used to having lower work. Okay. So this is one way of thinking about level load.
Sure.
Making sure the work is available. There will be situations in operations where you have a capacity, you don't have work. So then you will have to either adjust the capacity or make sure that much work is there.
Yeah.
That is one way, one other way of thinking. I took this case only to show that it is not always there is a lot of load and you are balancing. No, it is also a case of, load is spread and you are not seeing it. You have capacity, you are not seeing it. But when you do this level loading of saying every day 5, why is it not happening? Suddenly you know what is your capacity. What is your real capacity?
Yeah.
Right. So this though I used it in railways and got this thing done. This becomes very useful in a SaaS kind of a setup, even clinic kind of setup also.
Right? Yeah, even sort of OTs and all. How many surgeries are happening every day and how is the capacity utilized? So
in fact,
right, sure.
Right? There could be weekly variations of the load. If they can find a way to optimize it and keep it, then every day so much has to come. Did it come? Not come. If it didn't come, what needs to be fixed? If you do that, then you have a predictable way of giving a throughput. And every
Great.
design,
Awesome.
the scaling becomes so easy and predictable.
So, but in that case, if it's a seasonal kind of a problem,
Ah,
like happens in hospitals, wherein generally so the Diwali season is very low season. Nobody wants to do surgeries and all. So October, November, December is very dull. But
correct.
your capacity utilization goes very low during those
Correct.
times.
So that's where you need to think a little financially and then say, can I do what I told, right? The discounts and offers and drives and things like that
Sure.
to
Because
increase the utilization. The whole idea is the capacity is a sunk cost.
correct, got it. Yeah,
You lose money,
yeah,
right? On the
yeah.
other
So
hand, you have demand which you are not able to fulfill, and then others are creating hospitals. So how do you solve for it? You do special drives for those days,
got it. Makes sense.
and that still gives you a good return on investment,
Right.
right? And that's how you do a level loading.
Sure.
So the slightly different way of thinking through level loading as a business problem rather than just an ops problem.
Got it.
But then
Makes
it
sense.
solves both
Understood.
the business as well as ops problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's how I think it directs marketing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
No.
directs.
So that
Yeah,
so
yeah, sure.
this is where you stop becoming the ops guy and start becoming the strategy guy. And that's when the rest of the business guys will talk to you in a slightly different manner. That's how you become a
Yeah.
business guy instead of just an ops transaction.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Totally
So
makes
now
sense.
I'll
Got
show
it.
you another use case for today. I had only two use cases today.
Sure.
The second was in
Okay,
clear
sir.
tax. Okay, so it's a tax filing SaaS project. Okay. Here again the problem was bunching. So GST filing. So for SME, this is for an SME team. So there are two businesses. One is the large enterprise clients, where each client has like each CSM has about 4 or 5 clients, and that cost was justified because each client was paying us a lot of money, right? But when it comes to
Uh-huh.
SME clients, the billing rates are very small. So each client has to be supported, each CSM has to support at least 20, 30 clients for it to make sense, business sense. The problem with supporting 30 clients, more than 20 clients, is all returns have to be filed on or before 10th. There are two returns
Yeah.
to be
Correct.
filed by each business, 10th and then 20th of every month.
Huh.
All
Huh.
of them will call on 10th.
Huh.
On 10th, a guy can only do 10, but he has 20 clients.
Huh.
20th is again the same. So it spread between 8, 9, 10. And
Got it.
basically it's not even 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, 9th and 10th only. So two days only they do. So let's take it's 3 days. So the 3 and 3 days, 6 days
Huh.
in a month, they are slammed with work, and the rest of the time they are supposed to onboard clients. They do something, they don't do something. The capacity is idle. Okay. So the problem
Got
essentially is
it.
bunching up of demand on 2 days of the month.
On the
Now,
two
how
days.
do we
Yeah.
increase CSM productivity, right?
Hmm.
Without affecting service level. That's the whole point.
Huh.
So if you look at, so again, the method is what? First, find out the capacity. Workload only 3 plus 3 days in a month. So 6 days. But
Yeah.
how many days I have?
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
20 days. So the utilization will only 30%.
Correct.
If we shift
Correct.
it by just one more day also, 2 more days also, it will go to 2 to 4 days. If you push it, it will go to 50%.
50%. Yeah.
Right? On that 4 days, how do we push is the case. Okay. In the
Got
case
it.
of
Yeah.
locomotives, it is about bringing the locomotives in, then automatically the process starts. In the case of
Yeah.
work warehouse, it is about putting the orders into the system and then the work starts. Whereas here,
Hmm.
when the client gives data and client engages with the CSM, is controlled by the CSM.
Right.
You cannot control. So
Correct.
how do you make this work? Is the challenge.
So again, discounting should work.
Discount, you can't give discount, no? So discount, even if you give discount,
Huh.
right? So you are anyway tight. You want to increase it so that you can make the whole thing work. Okay, so
Hmm.
discounting may or may not work.
Got
Okay,
it. Huh.
so the here the solution is very different. So get businesses to end of month invoicing. So then we did an analysis of the clients and said, not see why do they do it on the 9th? They want to include all the invoices till the 10th in that month's filing.
Right.
Right. But not every business do daily invoices.
Yeah, correct.
There are businesses which only do end of month invoices.
Yeah, got it.
And there are businesses which do weekly invoices.
Yeah.
So the end of month invoicing, you can shift it to the beginning of the month.
Huh.
Right. And the weekly ones, you can shift it a couple of days ahead.
Huh. Yeah.
Suddenly your utilization goes up by 2 days. Okay. Now, how do you, so this is the concept. Now, how do you get it done? That's
Huh.
a catch, right? Because it's people, no? And they are used to not working. Now, suddenly you put this rule, you tell them you have to do, they will, all you will get back from the CSM is saying customer will not agree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct.
And we just say, yeah, I tried customer. Whether he tried, not tried, then you will have to go audit his calls and all that stuff. It's just not a scalable process.
Huh.
Okay, so what you did is we just switched their incentive, and one is we did a contest to get this whole thing going.
Hmm.
Saying CSM achieving highest off-peak filings. One.
Got
And then the control metric is 30% of his filing should be completed before the monthly peak. Kitna hai?
Yeah.
Track karo.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
start questioning. Right? Make that a target and also give a reward. And then
Sure.
people who are able to manage more than 25 accounts, we gave them special incentive.
Right.
Okay, now it is in their interest to move clients so that they will have bandwidth to manage larger number of clients.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Got it.
Okay, now the rule and the method is saying find out clients who are doing end of month invoicing. Find out clients who are
Huh.
doing weekly invoicing. Then ship them.
Huh.
Correct? One way of doing this is we could, I mean, there is system, we could have always got this and then distributed to them and saying these have to be done on third, but it will not happen. Right? We first created only the first one, which is the end of month. The second one, somebody in the team came up with.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Because now there is an incentive for him, he starts thinking. Instead of just a manager thinking, now 100 people team is thinking.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Right? In that, some 10 people also come up with a bright idea.
Huh.
Everything goes up.
Yeah.
Right? So here the loading, we are leveling the load by distribution.
Got it. Got it. Yes, sir.
So the concept is same. The whole point of this exercise today is to highlight that in operations, you have a concept which is level loading. The
Huh.
concept is same, but the flavors can be more. And for each situation, the design itself for the same concept, you follow the same principles to arrive at the solution. But the solution and the way you think and the way you implement will be different depending on the situation.
Got it.
Okay. Unless you get that understanding, your ability to implement and get the outcome will always be a problem.
Hmm.
Okay. So there are three parts, right? One is knowing the concept. Two is knowing how to apply it. Three is implementing it, getting people to buy it, change management. When all three comes together is when a concept will work in real operations. Okay. So the first one you can always learn. A concept you can always learn by reading a book or listening to a lecture and stuff like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The application and the change management is where you need a coach. And fortunately for me, when I used to work, there were large companies where you had structured training programs and stuff, where people used to coach. You can always talk to somebody and get it. But now with
Generally, don't
startups
find.
and stuff, that is missing.
Yeah, because in my I have been in startups. I've never like I have to figure out everything myself, and at times I was like a lot of times I was stuck. What needs to be done now? What should I do?